Physical Therapy Headquarters community. Today on the Cash Physical Therapy Headquarters podcast, we're going to be finishing up our three-part series of answering the most frequently asked questions that we got in 2024 to tee you up for success in 2025. So as we've been doing these episodes, we've been getting a ton of questions, both in our email as well as on our podcast, as well as on YouTube where this goes live, on what it takes to build a thriving cash practice, not just one that's producing consistent profits, but one that's actually creating the lifestyle that everyone dreams of, where they have a little bit of time flexibility, where they can go on a trip, where they can spend time with their family while still making the money that they want to make as a cash physical therapy entrepreneur. So we've got a handful of really powerful questions that I know are going to be massively impactful for those of you who are here today. So if you're new to this episode, you're watching us live on YouTube or in the Cash Physical Therapy Headquarters Facebook community, make sure to go and check out our channels on YouTube and wherever you view and listen to your podcasts, and subscribe to our channel for more training on what is working today to find success, happiness, and time freedom as a cash physical therapist. So Ben, good morning, dude.
Morning. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. We got the live event coming up in January, working on the presentations. We're preparing to launch our new school community where we got a lot of crazy modules that we've never made available to the public about to drop. So life's good, man. Busy, but strategically busy, you know?
Yeah. I think this is a fun time of the year to really get a lot of things done that you might not have gotten done earlier in the year because you're busy, because it just slows down for like physical therapy clinic owners. Like it just slows down with patient care. And that's one thing I actually want to say is encourage you guys to utilize this time to work on the business or just unplug and spend time with family. Don't be stressed about if there's been a decrease in patient leads. That's just normal. So it's a good time of the year to get caught up.
Right. 100%. And if it's really slow, like you are struggling and you are worrying, you likely didn't prepare for it as well as you could have back in September and October. I mean, we still have clients who are hitting like record months in November, and it's early to say in December, but you can offset a lot of the cancellations and reschedules if you're strategic about it and you anticipate those things from happening. So if you are struggling right now, just know that one, it's okay. It's totally normal, and prepare for it next year and see how you can stack the deck in your favor, either with promo cycles, reactivation campaigns, new patient specials, all that sort of good stuff. We'll have to do a recap episode, Ben, on how the referral program where you're giving away a trip to Hawaii ended up. I'm curious.
We're running it this week. It ends tomorrow, so we'll see what that ends.
If you want to hear how this epic referral contest that Ben ran at the beginning of the month went, it's a brand new offer that we've never experimented with to get more referrals from our existing patient population. If you want to hear the results of that and exactly how Ben ran it, just let us know in the comments. Maybe that'll be our next episode. But today we're finishing up our three-part series of answering the most frequently asked questions. So Ben, I'm gonna start you off with one that we just got. How can you cut your hours and still be earning more? A lot of people are very confused about like, how can you actually get your time back in a cash physical therapy brick and mortar practice? Because a lot of people are shifting to an online coaching model, thinking that that's like the best way to do that. So I'm curious on your thoughts.
Yeah, no, the best way to earn more is actually by hiring, getting your time back. And that's the great thing is like by getting your time back, you're actually also going to earn more as well. So hiring staff, whether that's an admin or a physical therapist, that's the best way to earn more while also getting your time back. And like I said, the great thing is when you get your time back, you start earning more. So it's a win-win across the board. But it is one of the scariest things to do is make that jump on the hiring. But if you're swimming in patient care and seeing 20 plus patients per week, you're at a point where you need to start hiring if you want to start getting your time back. Otherwise, you're gonna be more or less stuck at that. I mean, when I was seeing 20, 25 patients a week, I was working like 60 hours because there's so many other things that are just outside of just patient care. And this is important for those that are just starting out, only maybe at 5 or 10 patients and wanting and hoping and wishing to get to 20 patients per week.
Right.
It's not all sunshine and rainbows when you get there. I promise you. I thought it was, and it was actually the most stressful time in business because you're trying to do everything else in business. You're trying to follow up with leads. You're doing workshops on the weekends, weekday nights. You're doing notes. You're doing patient care. You're doing website. You're doing marketing. You're doing sales. There's so many things that you need to be doing. And so, if you're at that 20 patient mark, you need to be thinking about hiring.
100%. And I know it's like terrifying, but honestly, what's more terrifying? The thought of developing the leadership skills to be able to attract and retain PTs as a business owner, or the idea of working as hard as you currently are until the day you decide to retire. Likely not on as big of a nest egg as you would have hoped for when you run your own business. Like both options are really, really hard, but one has way more upside and the pain is actually a heck of a lot shorter. Like so many people who come to us who aren't sure they want to like build the team, eventually once they realize how difficult it is to stay in that pocket where it's like, okay, I have a full schedule, but now I'm doing everything. They realize how much easier life would be if they just brought somebody on. Then they finally bite the bullet, and then they are kicking themselves because they didn't do it earlier, because it's not half as scary as people think that it actually is. So couldn't agree more. Like you got to start building a team. And something else to consider, because I've noticed like a lot of people, they do hire, but then they don't get any of their time back, and they're still not as like fulfilled and happy in their life as they thought they would be once they did that. And it's because they just won't let go. They won't let go of this 9-to-5 staff PT mindset where they feel like they have to be treating full time while also trying to lead somebody. And they never actually get their time back. And so they struggle to keep their PT schedule full. They struggle to grow and scale because for some reason, they're so reluctant to give themselves the very thing that they are dreaming about, which is like space and time, which is the requirement and the prerequisite to do the deep work required to actually grow like a business. And so if you hire, and if you already have hired, you have to stop thinking of having time freedom as something that's coming tomorrow and start building systems and the discipline to give that to yourself today, because that's what's going to unlock the growth that you actually want. People think that the time freedom's on the other side of that growth, when in reality, it's like, give it to yourself today, and then the growth comes.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. And I guess that leads me into my other question on like, when is the right time to build a team? And how do you do it the right way? How have you seen our clients do it the right way?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different answers to this question that varies from person to person, because not everyone is the person that they really need to be yet to start to build a team. They're not disciplined enough in how they structure their time. They're not disciplined enough in developing the systems that will create a healthy and streamlined work environment for someone to come in. And then there's some people who right out of the gate, they are a high performance individual. You know, they're going to be like successful just because of who they are as people, and they can hire right away. As you said before, like if we're just looking at it from like a math perspective, like once you're doing 20 visits a week with some level of consistency, you by all means are actually ready to hire someone. You have enough inbound people to be able to offload some of your patients to that new person and start getting your time back. So if you're someone who is excited about the challenge of building a team and learning how to lead somebody, then you're ready to hire immediately. As soon as you're at that level, bring someone in, paint a vision for what it is you're trying to build, whether it's a big transformation within the community, providing something that doesn't quite exist yet, or if it's building a organization that can create the jobs that you wish existed when you graduated DPT school. Creating that vision and bringing people into it right away. But if you have just started your practice so that you can make a little bit more money and maybe get a little bit of time freedom, and your vision doesn't go beyond really yourself, then I think it's going to be really hard for you to attract and retain any sort of talent. And before you go ahead and make a hiring decision, I think it's really important to find a mission and a vision that is bigger than yourself, that people that you hire can get bought into. Because if your only mission is to serve yourself, that's not a mission that other people want to build on your behalf. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you need to find something bigger than yourself. It needs to be impacting X amount of people. Like that's our mission within ProConnects. It's really powerful. And there's no competition because we're a mission. Our mission is to be able not just help our three communities of Oakland, San Diego, and Des Moines, but our mission is to really lead the charge. From my knowledge, we're the largest cash-based practice in the U.S., if not definitely top 5. And we're really leading the charge on what's possible in scaling a cash-based practice. And there's over hundreds of clinics that are looking to us through Clinical Marketer that are part of our coaching program, looking to us to guide the way on what is possible, learn what is working and what's not working. And we take that really seriously. And they all feel like they are a big part of something much bigger than just ProKinetics, but actually changing how physical therapy is done across the entire U.S. because of the systems and processes that we're building within ProKinetics that are being created and passed along to the clients and clinical marketers. So they feel like it's much bigger than themselves. And there's no other clinic in the U.S. that has that mission. And there's really no competition if somebody's really interested in doing that and making a bigger impact than just treating patients.
Right. So it really all comes down to, like, number one, are you at least seeing 20 visits per week? That's when you need to start thinking about hiring. You know you're ready to hire when you have a net gain of 10 new patients per month. Ben, you want to explain the net gain?
Yeah, net gain is you just look at over the course of the last 3 months, each month on average, how many new patients did you add per month on average? And then you look at the average patients that discontinued in that month. So let's say that you had 30 new patients. You had 30 new patients, but 20 discontinued. That's a 10 patient net gain. For us, we do a 90-day ramp-up period, and a full-time PT for us sees between 30 to 35 patients per week. I know our net gain is 10 patients every single month. We have a 90-day ramp-up, aka 3 months. 3 times 10 equals 30 patients. I'm confident that I can get them to 30 patients per week within those first 90 days. The best way to predict the future is looking at the past, so I can be confident in that. And that is also why it's important to be tracking KPIs in your numbers to be able to make those types of decisions.
100%. So seeing 20 patients a week is when you should be considering it. When you have a net gain of 10 new patients per month, then you know that you have the volume to be able to confidently bring them on and ramp them up over the period of 90 days. But the final, I'd say, prerequisite is having a very crystal clear vision of what it is that you're planning to build, so that you have a vision to get people bought into what it is that you're building, and making sure that it's coming from a position of servitude rather than just your own self-interest. Because at the end of the day, the people who come and work for you, they choose to do so not only for them to make money, but for the fulfillment factor that's so important in physical therapy. Are they doing something that actually matters? Are they making a difference, not just in their patients, but in the overall greater grand scheme of the physical therapy industry? And so you want to make sure that you have something to work towards that's going to motivate you and push you to overcome the challenges that are inevitable with leadership. And when you have that strong vision and purpose and mission, all of a sudden it's like those challenges become a lot more tolerable and even like exciting to be able to overcome and conquer those things in the service of something that's greater than yourself. So I'd say those are the 3 prerequisites. Have purpose in what you're doing, have the volume to be able to fill them up, and then start thinking about it when you're already at 20 visits, because if you get busier than that, it's going to be a hell of a lot harder to have the time to effectively lead and train the new person that you hire.
Yeah, that's the biggest bottleneck I see people get is they're seeing 25, 30 patients a week, and they want to hire. And then they hire, and then they're stressed out because the employee that they hired is not performing well.
Yep.
The reason they're not performing well is because you're not giving them your time. And so it can be an issue for sure.
Yeah. Here's another good time management one while we're on this topic, because you definitely need time to be able to effectively lead people. Which tools can save you hours of time each week so that we're not just doing all of like the busy work ourselves, while keeping our business running smoothly. So what's like our tech stack and different resources that we're using to save time?
Yeah, so I guess this is really not, I don't know if it's actually a tech stack, but it's just like time blocking. We talked about this last episode, is time blocking. You know, if you're seeing 20 patients, let's say you're seeing 25 patients a week. Okay, that's 5 patient care hours per day. Okay, let's say you see patients from 1 to 6 p.m. You have from when you wake up until 1 o'clock p.m. to work on your business. But what most people do is they give patients availability from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. How do I know? Because I did it. All right. And it is not sustainable. It's not productive. So now you've got 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. available Monday through Friday. Okay. 10 hours each day, 50 hours for 25 worth of patients. Okay. Now, instead of having those blocks, you've got patients coming at 7, one coming at 9:30, one coming at 11, one coming at 2, one coming at 4. And now you're trying to switch tasks from seeing patients to working on the business. And it takes, I think it's like research says that it takes 15 to 30 minutes for you to switch tasks. So if you got an hour between a patient and the next one, you're spending half of that just mental energy spent transitioning from one task to another. And it's very inefficient. So really that's the big one. We can go over other ones, but if you're not doing that, there's really no need to actually even discuss some of these other time saving tools, because that is going to be moving the needle 80% of the way there.
Right. Right. This is one of the most important tools that you can use, but don't use it as a patient to-do list. Use it as the thing that defends the mission and purpose that you set out to accomplish, because it's not just to provide great care to individuals. Likely you started your practice to have a larger impact on the industry and your community as a whole, and on your life, your staff's life, and your family. And you have to leverage your calendar in a way that's defending and protecting that, so you have the time to do the things that you need to do. The other big one is making sure that you have an EMR that has good data analytics, so that you're not wasting a tremendous amount of time tracking down the data that you need to make informed decisions every single day. PT Everywhere does a great job of that. JNAP does a pretty good job of that. Also, there's a lot of things it doesn't really keep track of. And so we have our own KPI sheet that we basically pull data from our EMR and insert it into our KPI document, so that we have all of the metrics that we need. And at any given time, we can look at it, identify what's the biggest constraint in our business, and work on that. That's going to be the biggest time saver of your whole life. Because the amount of most people waste all of their time working on the wrong thing in their business. And when you're working on the wrong constraint in your business, it's either not going to have any change at all, or it's going to have diminishing returns and things are actually going to get worse. And so you need to have a KPI tracker where every week, every month, you are tracking down all of your metrics. How many leads do we get? How many got on the phone? How many booked? How many showed up? How many converted into a plan of care? How many visits are the average patient sticking around for? What's our patient lifetime value? These are all the things that we need to make informed decisions in our business. And when you every day, every week, every month, we know exactly what the real problem is in our business, then we know that we're working on the right thing. And that's going to save you more time, energy, and effort and pain than anything else, any software will. Just a spreadsheet where you're tracking your stuff. That's probably the most important one right there.
Yeah. Another one that's really powerful too is, especially with your busy treating patients and you've got leads coming in, you can't get to them, having a phone software that sends an automated text message for any missed call that comes in. So ours is like, if we have a missed call that comes in, it says, "Hey, sorry, we're busy away assisting other patients right now. We'll be giving you a call back as soon as we can. We'll be calling patients in the order that they were received. Just skip the line, book a call here to speak with a doctor of physical therapy." And that's the Calendly link where they can schedule a call. And that way you're not chasing people down playing phone tag. And I would say about 40 to 50% of our missed calls that are leads will book a call. Can you imagine?
Nice.
If you don't have that right now, imagine 50% of your leads that are coming in that you can't get to, book a call, and you don't have to chase them down. All right. So that's really powerful. And then just our CRM with CM Hub, where we have an automated system that follows up with Facebook leads in general, patients that didn't convert, patients that did convert, and having that CRM working on behalf of you, sending emails and texts you don't have to, is a big game changer too.
Yeah, following up with leads and following up with patients takes up a ton of time, but even more importantly, it takes a lot of energy to put detailed, personalized thought into each and every person that you're reaching out to, and that's going to take a lot of the energy away from the other things that you could be working on. And so, yeah, couldn't agree with that more. Get a CRM where you can build out automated workflows that take all the follow-up, the nurturing, all that stuff off of your plate, so you can focus on the stuff that actually matters. I think the only thing that would add to that kind of builds off of your first one with your calendars, like having block time on your calendar to work on the business is incredibly, incredibly important. But to make that as effective as it could be, you got to practice what Ben and I have learned. I'm not sure who created this, but it's called eating the frog. Like, figure out at the end of every single day, what is the number one thing? Once we take a look at our KPIs, we know what our biggest constraint is. What is the one single greatest thing you can do tomorrow that you know that if you got this done and else, you can sleep easy that night knowing that you moved the needle on your business? And so instead of just blocking off that time every single day, then kind of slowly taking your time to get into work because you know you have a 3-hour block and you can take your time and then figuring out what to work on. If you do that, you're going to waste a tremendous amount of time, and that block's not going to serve you in any way, because it's really easy for us to waste that time going out and getting coffee, dragging our feet, catching up on notes, looking at what patients we have for the day. It's easy to fill that time with those things if we don't already know exactly what it is we need to do during that time block. It's easy to get distracted with those time blocks if you don't already have an activity planned for that time block. So plan what you're going to do during that time the night before, so that you know if you're wasting that time, if you're scrolling Instagram too long, if you're going to go get a coffee somewhere or something else that's outside of the norm, you know what you're trading that time for. So it's less likely that you'll actually do it.
100%. Yeah, just makes everything else easier throughout the day too. It's
right.
Like icing on cake.
And that's going to be the difference between hitting your goals this year, like your 3-year goal, hitting that this year, versus it actually taking 3 years to do it. If you can just do one thing that actually moves the needle every single day, just like Ben and just like the clients that we've had that have gone to hit 7 figures in the span of 2.5 years, like, you're going to explode past your competition because they're acting reactively every single day, filling their time with whatever pops up, while you are strategically crushing the things that actually matter every single day. And so that's going to save you years of struggle just by spending an hour each week tracking your metrics, spending 15 minutes the night before planning your time, and then actually doing the thing you said you're going to do during that time block you have. That's going to make you 10 times more successful than any other business strategy, tactic, or software that we could recommend.
100%. Yeah. I don't think there's any other tools. Those are the big ones. Like, I was thinking too, is there's other ones, but those are going to be the things that move the needle the most. I really wouldn't focus on anything else outside of those.
Yep.
So you might get those done.
Yep. Here's a good one. How do you shut down the fear of failure?
My way of doing it's extreme. I'm extreme. It'll work for some people. It won't work for others. And I haven't heard this one. I've only heard this once, and it was from a mentor of mine, 2 years ago. And it's what helps me the most. And essentially, I have to one day, I don't have family right now, like I don't have wife, kids, but there will be one day where I have to look my wife, my kids in the eyes and state why I was or I was not able to provide them with the life and the time that I wanted to give them. And that is a bigger fear of mine than fear of failing. So everything that trumps everything. And so whenever I'm struggling with getting something done, I reflect on which fear do I want to have? That fear of not doing what I know I need to be doing and the fear of failure, or having to confront my future family and pretty much explain to them on why we're not in the position and why I can't give them the time that I want to give them. And it's because I had the fear of failing and wouldn't make the decision I needed to, months ago, years ago, 5 years ago. And so that's what helps me overcome the fear of failure. But curious on what yours is too, Jordan.
Honestly, I think that is the strongest one. I got another important one that I think will hit, but like having a crystal clear vision of what you actually want in your life and making decisions from like your deathbed of like, did I live a life where I pursued the best version of myself that could actually like exist? And I think like every single person who wants to have kids, every parent's dream is that their kids are set up to pursue their dreams and do whatever they want in life. And so I think a lot of people fall into this trap of just working really, really hard on the wrong things to just because they think it's going to help just make more money and provide the kind of life where their kids can do that. But what's far more powerful than whatever amount of money you have is actually being the person that goes and does the hard thing and being the example for your kids to follow versus your kids looking at how hard you work and wanting a better life for themselves. It is 10 times more powerful to be someone that your future kids can emulate, where you conquered your fears, where you chose to do the hard things in the pursuit of a greater mission, than it is to be the person that just kept their head down and grinded and worked their ass off and basically create a life where their kids want to escape and want to have a better life than what they had. And so for me, like I want my kids to be able to achieve anything that they want in life, not because of the things that I gave them, but because of the person that I turned them into because of who I was. You know what I mean?
100%. And I think there's a lot of power in being able to pass down lessons to your kids, but you can only pass down lessons in ones which you learned. And the only way to learn those lessons is by doing the hard shit and overcoming fears, because otherwise you can't learn those lessons. And if you don't learn those lessons, you can't pass those lessons down to your kids, and they're going to have to make those mistakes because you were unwilling to make those mistakes and
right.
Fear of failure.
Right. And it's one of those things where failure is never going to feel good. In fact, the more failures you have, the more likely it is that each and every time you fail, it's a bigger failure and it hurts even more because with every single failure, you break through to the other end of that thing. It's literally like I actively pursue and appreciate every single failure I have because I've done enough reps. I've been doing it long enough to know that every single giant leap that I've made within my life was directly as a result of a failure and the lesson that came as a result of that. And so now when I fail, although it sucks, there's a ton of gratitude for what I know it's turning me into, even though I can't exactly see what that is yet. I know I'm just going with it. And by experiencing that and being comfortable in the pressure, I know that is the very act that is giving me the thing that I want out of my life and out of my business. So don't avoid failure. It's the only way to get what you actually want.
Yeah, as long as you know they're not going to quit. If you know in the back of your mind there's nothing that's going to cause you to quit, like failure is actually going to be a benefit to you. Like Jordan just said, it's going to help you overcome so many different things and help you become the person that you need to be.
Right. And find people who inspire you. Like every single person that I admire, and likely you admire, Ben, and anyone who's listening to this, we don't admire them because they were an overnight success. We don't admire them because it was easy for them. We admire them because we know to get where they are, they had to go through in a minefield of different things where it was so complex that most people would have given up. But the fact that they persevered and got through that's why we admire, respect, and look up to those individuals. And so if you want to be someone who your kids, your spouse, your friends, your community, your ex-girlfriend from high school that they look up to and almost revere, it's like those are the things that gain you that admiration, that give you the skills, the knowledge, the expertise to be able to actually accomplish things that are hard. So if you look at it as like the thing that's going to make you fail, like that is the exact thing that's going to make you successful, then like your perspective on what failure actually is changes.
100%.
So cool. You got one for me?
Yes. Last one I got on. What's the trick to breaking through when your community doesn't embrace cash services?
Oh my goodness. I haven't found a single community that doesn't embrace cash pay services. We worked with a clinic who was on the verge of collapse. It was a couple. One of them was working PRN hours, and they were at it for like 2 years, worked with every coaching agency under the sun. And they were terrified of charging more than 150. I think they're charging 125 per visit. They weren't selling packages because they live in a little hodunk town in Wisconsin, very blue collar, all factory workers. They didn't believe for a second that anyone would ever pay that, but they were about to close. So they didn't have much of an argument to not listen to us. And literally 60 days later, they went from never doing a $7,000 month, usually around $4,000, to doing $20,000 months. Fast forward 6 months ahead of that, fast forward to today, they're doing $85,000 a month, selling $2,000 plus packages. Okay, there isn't a town that doesn't respond well to cash pay services, because any small town has limited options. Wherever there's limited options, there's people who are sick of those options or have tried those options and didn't get a result and are looking for a more premium, personalized experience that they can count on to actually get results. So if you think that there isn't anybody, you're really just projecting your own price sensitivity onto other people, and you should just give it a shot. And I think you'll be shocked at what actually happens.
Yeah, 100%. That's one thing that I've realized after coaching for you too. I'm sure of coaching over 100 different clinics. The number one thing that holds people back is mindset and limited beliefs. 100%, without a doubt, by and large. And this question here is just an example of that. There isn't any communities that don't.
Right. Like, what would you do today if you weren't afraid? What would you do today if you didn't doubt yourself? What would you do today if you had 100% conviction that you are going to build a successful cash practice that can sustain a team? Like, everything that's holding you back is just the voice in your head telling you that maybe it won't work. It's actually crazy. Anyway, that's all we got time for, folks. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Cash Physical Therapy Headquarters podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet, go and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on YouTube for more weekly episodes. Just ravings and rants from Ben and I on what's working and what's broken in the world of cash physical therapy. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Yes.